Hey everybody, and thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Ardmore Connect. My name is Josh Pagan.
And I'm Brian Cronin, and with us today we have Joy Medlock, and she's with Kimco Realty, who also is better known for what they do at Suburban Square.
Hi, Joy.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Again, Joy, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to sit and talk with us a little bit about what's going on. Basically, why don't you just start off and tell us who you are and what you do for Kimco, and give us a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be with you today. I really appreciate it. And I understand that Suburban Square is a big part of Ardmore. So I'm so happy to be with you and talk about Suburban Square. I am the general manager of Suburban Square. I've been here for about 4 years now. And I've always been involved with retail real estate for my entire career. This job, I moved from Miami to take on this redevelopment project that we're working on. Exactly in my wheelhouse. I've worked on redevelopment projects again for most of my entire career, so it's been a perfect fit for me, and I love the area, and the job has been really fulfilling.
And it goes to show, I mean, Suburban Square is, I would argue, one of the centerpieces of Ardmore.
Agreed, and also the same for Kimco. It's a bit of an anomaly as far as what the typical Kimco project is like, which is grocery anchored shopping centers, strip shopping centers, or big power centers. So this is quite a different tenant lineup, as well as facility and campus from our other types of centers that we have throughout the United States.
Mm-hmm. What other type of places do you have?
I am solely responsible for Suburban Square. It requires a lot of attention, and I'm happy to give it to Suburban Square full time.
I guess what Brian was trying to ask is, what else does Kimco have? Do they have anything else in the area? Is Suburban Square kind of like something very special to them?
We have a little over 500 properties throughout the United States and Puerto Rico. Here locally, we have Wynwood, which is where the Whole Foods is located on Lancaster.
Yep.
We have Devon Village, which is in Devon. It's also a Whole Foods shopping center. A couple of others in the Northeast, and we have one of our premier centers, Signature Series, as we're called. Suburban Square is part of that Signature Series. Lincoln Square, which is on Broad Street. It's one of our first residential mixed use together with retail. It's been a very successful project. It has a Sprouts on site, which was the first to open on the East Coast. So that's where we're going with a lot of our Signature Series projects throughout the U.S.
Now, with the pandemic going on, have you seen any distractions going on with your tenants? Like how are things been going with your tenants during this time?
Yeah, I mean, if you just watch CNBC, I'm sure that's the burning question in everyone's mind: is how are your tenants handling this, and how are you guys helping them?
Tenants, we have a very wide variation of tenants. We have national tenants such as Trader Joe's, which is an essential business throughout the pandemic, as well as Apple, of course, and then we have mom and pops. And so we work with them in different ways based on their needs. So the needs of Trader Joe's is much different than El Quetzal, or Dandelion, one of our local tenants at the square. So we are intent. Kimco has been, I'm very pleased and honored to work for a company that has been so forthwith with our tenants, giving as much assistance as possible with legal assistance for applying for loans. We are working with each tenant on an individual basis to keep them in business, make sure they come back to the square, and that they continue to succeed. The pandemic came at such a time when we were really on an upswing with our leasing, and the events at the shopping center, sales at the shopping center were fabulous before the pandemic took hold. We had a great Christmas season. So everything looked great at the beginning of 2020, but of course we all know what happened.
That's really good that you seem to be real hands-on with each tenant. I think it's really important that people should know in general that you take it seriously and you really want to help your people out.
Yeah, I think it's special.
Really, that's very special. And I know Joy and I had met once before, and she was talking about all the exciting things that they had planned for the spring and summer for 2020 and all the stuff that we're going to do. Now that we're in yellow and retail is kind of open again, do you see that people are having problems coming back to the stores? Do you see there's any difficulties with people trying to get out, or do you see it like business as usual?
It's funny. It's a funny vibe when you're there. The last couple of weeks since it's opened, or a lot of the stores have opened. Of course, we've been open throughout the entire pandemic because we do have essential businesses, the restaurants, as well as Trader Joe's, the farmers market. But those retailers that have opened, some are seeing a great amount of business. There is that pent-up demand that perhaps we're all feeling. That I know I'm sick of my sofas, throw pillows, and I can't wait to replace them. I've been looking at them constantly.
Have you been talking to my girlfriend?
So there's been some really great stories the last couple of weeks about sales, and especially with the appointment only, that tenants are doing some appointment only sales. And if someone makes an appointment, they're going to buy something when they come into the store. So that's been a very good way for the tenants to get the customers back into the store with them feeling comfortable.
We had done our very first interview with Ardmore Connect, and we did it with Kilman's. So right before Mother's Day, and they were telling us how their upswing was, and with Mother's Day coming in, they were really doing really well. So I thought that was real positive.
I want to tie something into the last question that you just asked, Brian. The big thing that's been going around right now is the death of malls. And, my personal opinion aside, how do you see this happening, Joy? I mean, I know a lot of people they're kind of like, oh, I don't really need to go into stores anymore. I can kind of order things online. Do you see that affecting you guys anyway? Or have you thought about this, and maybe you're trying to plan for something to overcome that fear of being in large space with people? I mean, what are your thoughts about something like that? That statement, I should say.
Well, Suburban Square is, I think, has a very good advantage because we are an outdoor mall, and I think most people will feel most comfortable being in the fresh air, outdoors, not breathing recycled air as you would in an enclosed mall. So we definitely have that going for us. I forget the rest of the question. Sorry.
It was just, how do you feel about that statement, the death of malls?
Oh, well, if you listen to the news, the malls have been dying for the last 20 years. So
Dying. And Russia just expands,
yes, and in fact, we encouraged our customers to shop online, especially with our local tenants, that let's keep them in business, let's keep them going while we're in this stay-at-home phase. And our advertising for those local tenants definitely did pay off. They did feel that our customers came to their website because we encouraged people to keep businesses afloat.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of those statements, actually. I would say the outdoor part, that you guys have like an outdoor section mall, it really reminds me of the West Coast, which, I mean, those are just booming out there. I don't see that going anywhere. The vibe you guys have at Suburban Square, I really feel is authentic and true, and just ties in exactly what you're saying right now. You guys are trying to help them, promoting them online, driving people to their websites and buying there. I think that's absolutely outstanding. And I think the community has really come together well enough to say, yeah, we don't want you guys to go out of business. Let's go ahead and order online. I give my thumbs up to you guys for that. I totally agree 100%.
Thank you. We wanted to keep communication with our customers as well as with the tenants. and it's paid off. Many of the tenants, especially with the communication that we've been doing, Kimco's been doing, I've personally been doing with the tenants throughout this, it's been appreciated, and they've been responded very well.
Now, do you see when we're going into green, so to speak, do you think you guys will start doing some more outdoor things like you had planned originally, or do you think you're going to hold off a little bit longer? Like, what do you see you guys doing?
We recently did a survey with our customers, our database, which is about 6,000 people, 6,000 unique email addresses. And the feeling that came back, or the results that came back from that survey, is people aren't really ready to attend large events unless there's mandatory mask wearing and social distancing is enforced. I have tasked our event planning and production company to come up with events where we can practice those and still have people come and enjoy the square and enjoy the event that we produce. So it's tricky, but I think we're coming up with some good ideas. Nothing that I can announce right now, but it's definitely, I know people are starved for that entertainment to get out to see, but still they're little trepidatious about being in a large crowd.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess what is the most, I guess the biggest thing that you miss about being fully operational at this moment?
That's a good question.
I miss the tenants because I know them well personally. I know how many kids they have and what they do on their weekends or their time off. So, and I interact with them all the time when I'm at my job. And I love the events. That's my thing. I love events and having people come and be happy and children playing. And I miss our orange and green chairs in the courtyard. And hopefully we'll be putting those out very soon. So people.
I did notice that when I walk through. I do walk through the square a lot daily, and I was like, oh, they took them away.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you have to, I guess, but it was one of those things where I was like, wait,
Something's off here. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely events. I mean, Brian and I are very well versed in events, so can't wait for those to start back up.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to get people out also, getting events. You know, the square is such a beautiful area. Having events there. It's just how you guys do it is, I could only imagine how difficult that could possibly be.
Yeah.
Especially after
we'll work it out.
My own. I mean, I just couldn't.
We'll figure it out. I work with some pretty smart people, so we'll get there.
Oh, fully confident you guys will get there.
No, you guys are still moving forward with all your plans with like with building, construction, and branding, like bringing the square more livable. Are you still doing that project?
Yes, we still have our residential project that we've been planning for the last several years. The groundbreaking has been delayed because of the pandemic, but it's nothing that we're not going to do. It's something that we're very actively planning, and construction drawings and plans and designs are all being worked on.
Do you see anything changing within commercial real estate these days going forward? Do you think there's going to be a big change? I noticed that I spoke with a lot of people in the last couple of months, and I see that a lot of people are, I guess, quote unquote, moving or staying at home rather than going back into the offices, and that commercial real estate may have a big hit coming forward. Do you see that foreseeable, or do you see it's just, everyone's just being a little precautious at the moment, and then time will just tell? Or what is your opinion on that?
I don't work in office exclusively. Of course, we have the Times building, and we have some other office spaces on Coulter Avenue. So it's not really impacting those office spaces as much because they're a lot of them are dentists or people who see clients and patients face to face. So my being able to speak to office is difficult, but I do believe that there will be a change in how we do office, and I am looking very forward to getting back in my office excuse me, excuse me. So as far in the Kimco headquarters, we will not be reopening those offices for a few more weeks. We'll be doing it in a very slow and careful method.
Yep. I know actually several of my friends that are in the commercial real estate business, and they've said right now the highest commodity is apartment buildings, and everyone that has office buildings is just trying to sell out, and there's just no buyers right now because everyone says there's the giant exodus from the office. I mean, look at Twitter. They pretty much said if you work here, you could stay from home forever if you really wanted to. And I think you guys have a special stance because it's so well put together and it's a nice experience to go to Suburban Square. I don't believe you guys will be hit as hard, but to answer your question, Brian, give my 2 cents, I have a feeling that commercial real estate in general is going to be hit pretty hard. I mean, if you look at some of the real estate investment trusts, last time I checked, they were down. I mean, they were down.
But I guess for when it comes to like the commercial space as far as retail and restaurants, I think that in general, I think that will maintain itself. I think people want to keep going out because you know what, they've been saying this for years that you could stay at home and you could shop online, but people still go out to this, especially Suburban Square. I live around the Suburban Square and I can't even drive down that street because it's so many people. So I don't think it's really that gonna affect it personally. I don't know if you have a different opinion about that, Joy, or.
Well, I don't know the percentage as of today because things have been skewed, but before the pandemic, the retail sales were only about 11, 12% online, and the rest of everything else was purchased face-to-face in a bricks and mortar with people assisting you. And I don't believe that's going to change. That may even have, like I said, the sales that have been generated just in the last 2 weeks goes to show that people do want to shop in a store with a face-to-face interaction. So I remain very bullish about people wanting to shop. We're signing leases. We have nothing that I can announce at this point, but we
We'd love for you to announce it on here.
we still have several leases that are being negotiated for the locations at Suburban Square, and one of those is a big office space.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
That's a question that brings me to a point. How do you guys, in general, how do you pick your leases with your tenant? Like, what type of clientele do you want to bring into the Suburban Square? Like, is it just anybody you can call up and like schedule an appointment and then lease the property, or do you have a specific way of like vetting certain businesses?
Well, of course, we want to maintain a tenant mix which serves the community and the demographic that we have. So first of all, that kind of eliminates a lot of retailers that we would be interested in having at Suburban Square, because either they're offered elsewhere in the market, or because it's not something that would complement the rest of the stores and services that we have at Suburban Square. So we usually target the business, whether it be the shoe category or home goods category, jewelry category, and then we'll go after those tenants that would best serve the square and our shoppers and the demographic. Mm-hmm. So it's a choosy process that we go through. But that's what makes a good shopping center. People think that we can just turn around deals. As soon as someone moves out, someone else is going to move in. Right. You know, it's a curated, scientific and artful process that we go through.
You're really more hands-on when you're picking your tenants, which is that's very good.
I mean, it's art. You know, you're absolutely correct. It's an art. It's not just, oh, whoever wants to sign a lease, come on in. It's, you know, what is the community going to respond best to? You're not going to want 2 Trader Joe's there. I mean, as great it would be to have the money, it's not about the money at all times. It's about what do we want people to come and experience.
Exactly.
And you don't want to have some like another outlets like a Trader Joe's to kind of compete with each other within the
Right.
same area.
It depends on the business. Sometimes it's healthy to have that competition.
Yep.
Sometimes it's not. It just cannibalizes the other and doesn't make sense. It's not a good use of space.
Like like you wouldn't want to have two yoga studios, but like a yoga studio and like a biking studio. That's, I get that.
It's different experiences. So we have Lifetime experience, a Lifetime Athletic. They offer cycling classes, but Soul Cycle, that's their only business. It's a completely different experience and different needs, times, wants, price point that makes the customer's decision on whether they're going to go to Lifetime or if they're going to go to Soul Cycle for their cycling.
Sure. Now, I'm actually kind of curious about this because you guys have an umbrella company in Kimco. Do you guys ever get equitable ownership of some of these businesses? Like, would you ever help someone start something there, or is it primarily just, we're going to be at an arm's length. You guys will run your business. We'll do our best as landlords to make everyone happy.
We don't have any businesses at Suburban Square that we are financially involved with. We do like to keep that arm's length distance. It's typical with most retail landlords. Kind of doesn't make sense for us to be in business with those tenants. So at Suburban Square, I mean, it's not unheard of, but at Suburban Square, we don't have any of those relationships built.
Sure. I mean, I have several clients who are, they're not large retailers. They have like a building here and there, and they'll say, okay, yeah, I'll help you with the startup costs for X in return. So I figured I would just ask.
Yeah.
Do you, I like the fact that you guys are keeping yourself busy throughout this time. How's adjusting been for you? Has it just been pretty seamless for you with the adjusting, or do you seem that it's a little bit more of a trying?
No, it's been very seamless. My role and day-to-day schedule is very much determined by tenants and work going on at the shopping center. So with no tenants and with no work going on, my presence wasn't required at the center. So working from home has been quite easy and been extremely busy the entire last almost 3 months now.
I'm sure you're probably on the phone at least for 4 or 5 times a day with somebody.
Zoom meetings, Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom's the new way of life, I think.
Yes, which I've enjoyed. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it's very easy to communicate with others on a Zoom call.
Yeah, it takes that meeting. If you have to schedule an hour, you drive there and you do this and that, and you drive home. It's just like, okay, 15 minutes, boom, boom, next one, come on in.
Yep, I think we're all used to it and accept it, and it's an authentic way to communicate.
I totally agree with that.
I have a question for you. What's the best piece of advice that you've been given to you, and how would you say it helped you?
Wash your hands and wear a mask.
That's a great one. I love
it. Of course, our mothers told us all growing up, wash your hands, wash your hands. Now she really means it.
Nowadays, I think more people are finally a little bit cleaner than they should have been. Do you see a silver lining at the end of all this?
I think there's going to be some tenants who are really going to succeed. I think there's opportunity for new retailers to come online. It's a good time to start a business, I think. There are lots of landlords who have space, and a lot of landlords who don't have deep pockets. And they have a mortgage to pay, they have insurance to pay, real estate taxes to pay. Yep. And I think there's going to be some new innovative type businesses coming out of all of this. People who will find opportunities that perhaps they thought they would never have. And I hope that landlords will look at those new businesses and support them coming into the retail arena.
That's great. That's great what you're saying, Roger. I totally agree with you. I think right now this will be an opportunity for someone to just flourish because, unfortunately, monies aren't there right now, but now this might be something good for somebody who's smaller that can just now have the opportunity to come and start and flourish, you know?
Yep. Or maybe even they started something online doing only Zoom consultations, and now they're like, okay, I could do it in person. That would have never happened before all this because it just wasn't a thing.
Exactly.
Well, again, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. I know you're busy. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but you have any thoughts that you might want to share with us that you see going into 2021 that you were allowed to share?
Going into 2021, 6 months from now.
No. Well, with retail, you have to think.
Right.
Oh yes, I mean it's a very long process, our leasing process, and it's not unique to Suburban Square. All centers that I've worked on throughout my career, it's not something that just happens overnight. It's think long and hard about our leases and obligations to the tenant and vice versa. But as far as looking forward, I mean, we all have to be optimistic. We all have to be smart and quick, thinking on our feet right now. I think it's because it's been so different for all of us that we've all had to innovate.
That's true. Well, again, like I said, I want to thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank
It was
you.
an absolute pleasure.
We definitely want to follow up with you, and when we're allowed to come out, we'll we'll bring our camera crew. We'll go to whatever favorite Suburban Square store you want to go to, and
Yeah.
we'll have another follow-up interview.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Good.
And from us here at Ardmore Connect, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch. New episodes come out every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, so stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.